Good evening and welcome to this edition of Immigration Issues. I'm Ina Winston and I have with me a wonderful guest for you, Joel Daca, who's one of our most experienced attorneys and who will educate you all about foreclosures. But before we do that, I want to tell you a little bit about the clinic. It's my pleasure to work at the clinic. I've worked there now since about 2009, so it's been quite a while. And I do immigration law. I have wonderful and exciting clients who are resourceful and inspiring, and I'm grateful to be able to practice in this area of law. Our intake is open, and I have exciting news. The exciting news is that we are the beneficiaries of a grant from Access to Justice, and the grant is for 6 months, and it allows us to provide services in immigration to help people remain in the United States, and the grant will cover the attorney fees. So if you have an immigration issue, this is a great time to call us. As you can see the number, 312-738-1060. Or you can call us directly at 312-226-2669, which is the immigration attorney line. The kinds of cases which are covered by the grant include but are not limited to adjustments, joint and self 751s, cancellation of removal for people in defense and deportation proceedings and deportation defense cases, I-130s, and of course we always have other grants, one of which is from the state of Illinois to handle survivors of domestic violence who have immigration problems. So those include VAWAs and U visas as well. We continue to handle waivers, Daca renewals, FOIAs, and just a variety of cases designed to help people who are undocumented become documented so that they can stay here in the United States. Let me back up a little bit and tell you about the clinic. Most of you who are regular viewers know that the clinic was first established in 1982 by Ed Grossman and then Father Paprocki, now Bishop Paprocki. They were classmates at DePaul University of Law, and they saw that when the steel mills closed, they saw the need for low-cost, high-quality legal services. They established an organization which had several branches. Our flagship office was in South Chicago, which is where the steel mills were. And we also opened up branches in Pilsen, Austin, and downtown. Today, we're in a transition period, which is a new configuration of the clinic. We have a new executive director, Adam Salzman, who is taking us in a different direction. And we are now consolidated at our downtown office at 211 West Wacker, and we are looking to open an additional office in an inner Cook County underserved community. We're thinking about Cicero. That seems like the prime contender right now. So it's a very exciting time at the clinic. It's interesting to watch it grow in a different direction, and I hope that you will come along with us. I want to give you a little update about what's happening in immigration land before we turn to Joel to discuss foreclosures. A little bit of good news in an otherwise grim landscape is for Liberians. Liberia is a country that's on the western coast of Africa. It's a war-torn, terribly poor country, and a number of Liberians fled to the United States. There is a recently enacted law which allows 2 categories of aliens from Liberia to apply for adjustment of status. And those are Liberian nationals who were continuously present in the United States since November 20th of 2014 through the date when the person submits the application. And it also covers the spouses, the children, and the unmarried adult sons or daughters of these Liberian nationals. So if you are from Liberia, you may be a beneficiary of this, and feel free to give us a call, and we'll do what we can to work with you and help you. Up until now, Liberians have generally been subject to DED, which is Deferred Enforced Departure. So this gives Liberians who are here a possible avenue to permanent residency. As many of you know, money has been diverted from the military. The government is seeking to divert money from the military to build the wall. However, the wall is being built without physical blocks every day. Several nationwide injunctions are in effect against the new public charge rules, but recent news reports tell us that the government has asked the Supreme Court to expedite the hearing of the new public charge rules. I don't know if that will happen, but these public charge rules are simply designed to put a full stop on legal immigration. Really, in my opinion, they're a disgrace. These rules change the basic parameters for determining who's a public charge. Previously, the standard was, is the person primarily dependent on cash assistance or long-term institutionalization? In fact, are they using public benefits? Now, the standard would be, under these new rules, are they likely at any time in their life to become dependent upon the United States government for subsistence? When you read the actual rules, they take the traditional factors, age, health, family status, assets, resources, education, and skills, and they adopt a very strict interpretation. The bottom line, after you read all these rules, is that the United States wants people from highly industrialized, highly skilled countries who are very well educated and are already earning a good living to come to the United States. And all of the other people who have, in fact, who are the types of people who have made America the great, enterprising, and resourceful country that we are, could stay home. For example, they tell them, they point out, in essence, they're pointing out, leave your grandmother. She's old and she's not working. Leave her at home. Leave your disabled child. Leave them wherever they came from. Don't bother. Family values have been totally thrown in the garbage can with these new rules. They are a nightmare. And you could see the effect of them because there was a period of time when they were being applied in consular processing, and there was a sharp uptick in denials of admission at Ciudad Juarez on the basis of public charge. So we'll see what happens. Right now, it's a disturbing, very disturbing picture because there is no real clear standard to use. It's totally in the discretion of the officer. The only bright line is if the person has used benefits for more than 12 months in the aggregate within a 36-month period. But even that's not a bright line because it's discretionary as to what the person's earning power will be, how old the person is, how educated they are, and how the particular officer weighs these factors. That is a major change from the present. It's really wrong when especially when you consider the reality is that among U.S. citizens this year, 1 in 4 people use some sort of assistance, and about half of U.S. citizens can be expected to use one of the programs that are banned at some point in their lifetimes. There's no evidence that people who are immigrants, documented or undocumented, use public benefits more than anyone else does. It's a totally unnecessary law designed to stop legal immigration in its tracks. What else is happening? Daca. The arguments were heard before the Supreme Court. It didn't really go that well. The general drift, if you listen to the way the arguments went, is that the court seems to think that the executive has the authority to establish it and to do away with it. There have been a number of lawsuits challenging this interpretation, and the basic bottom line of these lawsuits is that the argument in the lawsuits is that we encourage people to out themselves. They did that. We gave them the assurance that the information they gave would not be submitted to ICE or to any other removal enforcement agencies. And now there is no clear articulated rationale that makes sense for the withdrawal of this benefit. The articulated rationale was that it would cause risks of litigation, and this is why the Daca benefit is being withdrawn. But that rationale really didn't make any sense because now the government is faced with a plethora of lawsuits by people who want to uphold the law. So here we are with 800 million people who have relied upon Daca, outed themselves to the government, who are productive workers, who have families, homes, have established businesses. My former law student is now an attorney. She's a Daca. There are doctors, there are lawyers, there are many people in all segments of our economy. And if the people are not only earning money for themselves, but people who earn money put money back into the economy and buy goods. So it's a very disturbing picture for employers as well as the 800,000 young people who are contributing to society economically and socially. And it's somewhat of a more, in my personal opinion, a moral stain to tell people you can out yourself and then pull the rug out from under them. Other activity in the immigration world concerns TPS, temporary protected status, which was extended, for example, to people from Honduras when Hurricane Mitch hit. And then, so you have people who have been here since the late 1990s, who, like the Daca people, have established lives, married, had children, have families, own homes. Right now, there are injunctions in effect, and like the Daca, the argument is that it's an arbitrary and capricious use of the executive power to withdraw temporary protected status from people, even though the original conditions may no longer exist. It's still a very difficult situation to just tell people to go back to Honduras, which is a violent and terribly poor country. The validity of the, while pending the outcome of these cases, the validity of the employment authorization documents have been extended through January of 2021 for people from El Salvador, Haiti, Honduras, Nepal, Nicaragua, and Sudan. The legal arguments in the TPS case are even harder to make for the plaintiffs because there is a provision in the TPS law that says essentially it's only the Department of Homeland Security that has the right to determine whether TPS is warranted or not. It doesn't really deal with the withdrawal of TPS, which is what is at issue now. So we'll see what happens with those cases. In addition, many people on TPS have been able to adjust after going out of the country on advance parole and returning with inspection. The ability to do so is now in question. So we don't know what's going to happen, what the policy of USCIS is going to be in regard to the adjustment of people who have left the country on advance parole and returned with inspection and are the beneficiaries of petitions by immediate relatives to adjust in the United States. As far as the border is concerned, the conditions are very difficult. From a legal perspective, it's hard to represent a person because everything is done telephonically in tent courts. The litigant is in one place, the potential asylee. The attorney is in another location communicating electronically. The interpreter is in a third location, and the judge is in a fourth location. So you can imagine how difficult it is to actually coordinate an intelligently presented asylum case, especially bearing in mind that often the people who have been told they must remain in Mexico don't get notice of their hearings in the first place. It's a very grim, disturbing picture, especially when you consider that the conditions in the Northern Triangle, which led people to come here, are very dire. What would any of us have done if we were told that our daughters would be sex trafficked? What would any of us have done if we were told that our sons would be involuntarily conscripted into criminal cartels And if they resisted, they would be shot. And if they joined, they would be shot by rival cartels. Ask yourself, what would you do? Exactly what these people did. You would flee. And asylum is a very hard remedy to obtain in the best of circumstances, but this is no way to treat people who are in the direst of circumstances. So that is where we are in immigration. Let me turn to my guest, Joel Daca. Joel is an experienced attorney. He has a number of years of work, especially in foreclosure, at our desk. Why don't you tell us what the desk is, where it is, and what the foreclosure desk does?
All right, Anna. Well, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
I'm glad to have you.
Yeah, first timer here, so excited to get going here. So if you need foreclosure help, and where I was working previously with the clinic, I'm working with Ina right now in immigration, and she's a fantastic attorney. So,
And I'm really glad to have you being my co-counsel.
So I'm really excited to be working with you. So I was working initially at the foreclosure advice desk in the Daily Center. So if you need assistance in foreclosure, the place you should go to, and you're in foreclosure, the place you should go to is room CL16. That's in the Daily Center next to Starbucks, and the Daily Center is at 50 West Washington.
This is on the concourse level?
It's on the concourse level, so it's on the lower level.
Downstairs.
Right, exactly. So you can go there. It's open from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. It's first come, first serve for appointments, and appointments run from 9 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So you want to get there early in the day if you actually want a one-on-one consultation with an attorney. However, you can still come down to the desk after 2:30, and someone will still try to talk with you and at least give you a little bit of advice on what you need to do. Another good place to go to is you can find housing counselors on HUD's website. So that's Housing and Urban Development. On that website, you can search for housing counselors and just Google. So there'll be a search box and Google or search for Illinois housing counselors. And you can get a list. And what the housing counselors can help you do is kind of help you with the financing or just basically understanding how to work with the bank if you're in foreclosure and how to get a modification. So I strongly recommend, I would even go there if you're feeling like you're getting in trouble with paying your mortgage, but you're not in foreclosure yet. You can look at that list, contact somebody, get an appointment, and maybe get some consultation on how to keep your house out of foreclosure.
What is the foreclosure process? What's the timeline? How does this actually work?
So with foreclosure, basically in Illinois, it takes a while. So it takes about a year to get through foreclosure. And what happens is that the first thing that's going to happen is they're going to file the case, and then they have to serve you the summons. I want to stress at this point right now, though, is that you really want to avoid going into foreclosure. Foreclosure will be triggered when you fall 3 months behind total, like 3 monthly payments that would total that you're behind. So in other words, if you pay $1,000 a month, if you're $3,000 behind, they're going to throw you in foreclosure. So don't get to that point. If you start falling behind, you don't want to hit the 3 payment lag. Now, once you're in foreclosure, they're not going to negotiate. They're not going to take any payments. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to have to try to talk to their loss mitigation department and basically try to modify the loan. That's the number one way to try to save your home once you're in foreclosure. And you're going to have to go to court. Until you modify your loan, you're going to be in foreclosure. You're considered in default. There are 2 other ways that people try to use to save their home. One is called reinstatement, which is where you pay all your past due plus attorney's fees and things like that. It's a difficult thing to do if you're already missing payments. How are you going to have 3 payments plus attorney's fees? The other one is really redemption, which is kind of like, is where you actually pay off the full amount of the loan, which is almost impossible. So most people are going to go the loan modification route. If you don't want to save the home, you can always try to do a short sale. Or you could also, if you're trying to buy some time and get reorganized financially, you can go into bankruptcy. So, and what happens with bankruptcy is, since you're in federal court, it'll stop the foreclosure case until you're done with the bankruptcy. So as long as you basically include the house, you'd have to include the house in the bankruptcy, and it's a way to forestall the foreclosure and try to get your finances in order. I would talk with the bankruptcy attorney about what exactly happens, with your home in bankruptcy. But as I was stating earlier, it takes about a year to go through foreclosure. So just because you get served the summons doesn't mean it's over. It's just the start. You actually have, there's several steps, there's 10 steps, and you basically have until the public auction that occurs in foreclosure to save the home. So that's going to be at least about 9 months from the start of the case, probably at least 7 months until you know. So you're not out if you've been served your summons. So we strongly recommend that if you get served the summons, come down to the desk. We can try to help you out and get you situated and try to give you as much time as you can to see if you can work out some of your options. If you can't save the home by the time you get to public auction, you still wouldn't have to move out. So that might be 7 or 8 months into the process. They still have to confirm the sale, and then the judge has to give you time to move. So by the time they do all of that, it's usually a year.
Okay, we want to leave a little time for questions. Do we have any questionnaires? Anyone who would like to call in? The number's on the screen. Please feel free to call in. I do want to emphasize that we had stopped our immigration program for a while during this reorganization. We are definitely open for intake. We will be glad to help you if we can. Our mission is to provide high-quality legal services to all sectors of American society. Our goal is to eliminate the socioeconomic barriers to high-quality legal services, and we have a cadre of genuinely dedicated attorneys who are highly invested in helping people, and I'm proud to say that our immigration section has really capable attorneys here, and we work well together, and we want to work with you. So I hope that you're going to call us if you have the kind of a problem that we can help you with. 312-226-2669 is the direct dial number to our immigration section. We also have many other services at the clinic. We have a number of attorneys who do expungements. Those of you who are regular viewers of our show saw Drew Curl on explaining how expungements and sealing work. And so we have that to help people return to the workforce and to help them get the benefits of having a record that is clear. We also have a number of attorneys working in family law, adoptions, divorces, custody issues, and of course we have a special focus on domestic violence, helping survivors of domestic violence, both in terms of the family law issues and in terms of the immigration issues. As I say, we handle a wide variety of immigration issues. We are here to help you, whether you're a person on TPS, and if you're a person on Daca, I forgot to mention that there is a certain amount of merit to filing for a renewal now before Daca goes down, if it does, even though you have time left on your card. So many people are filing early in order to get a new 2-year period, and so far the government has been issuing new cards. So I do recommend that if you are a Daca renewal, come in and get the application on file right now. So, long story short, we are here to serve you, and we would like to hear from you. So, thank you very much, and we look forward to hearing from you.